Well, time to deal with the aftermath of Extreme Rules, and let's just get into it. I felt that Luke Harper and Dean Ambrose was pretty much what I was expecting it to be, and it was nothing more than one guy who's a tad too creepy versus a guy who's even more eccentric than me. And that's saying something. Decent match. Glad Dean Ambrose got the win. Nice to see him get put over. Sheamus versus Dolph Ziggler in a Kiss Me Arse match. Stupid stipulation notwithstanding, this was actually a decent match. Although the whole stereotypical and generic, I'm the bigger guy and I've got to squash the smaller guy angle is getting really old. And typical of Sheamus to actually wimp out on the losing stipulation. Show of hands, who are those who are not surprised? The New Day winning the tag team titles. Whilst the New Day are made of very, very athletically talented and gifted WWE superstars, I felt this was a monumental push backwards. Because whilst I'm glad that the likes of Big E and Xavier Woods are now in a very high-profile situation because the tag team titles are starting to mean something again, at the very same token, this is disappointing for Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, who are probably one of the best tag team champions, some of the best tag team champions, because it's got to be plural, in a long time, because here are two guys who have been overlooked, undervalued, and put to one side for far too long, and they get put down to a stable that's more hated than The Rock's first gimmick. I may be going a bit too far with that, but that is my opinion. I already had a mild suspicion that John Cena would actually retain his United States Championship, and to call it a Russian chain match, it's in the same vein of calling a leather strap match a Texas bull rope match, or the chain match that Kane and Triple H had for the Intercontinental Championship at Judgment Day 2001. So we're not really seeing anything new in regards to the outcome of these type of competitor being connected to the other competitor, whether it's via strap, a chain, or a rope. It's the same outcome. And I'm neither surprised, I wouldn't say really disappointed, because if I already know what the outcome is, I'm not disappointed. So this was kind of meh for me, you know? Not really that great, not really that disappointing. So, meh. As Lisa Simpson once said, meh. M-E-H. Meh. As for the Divas Championship, I thought this was one of the best matches on the card. And a lot of it has to do with Naomi. Naomi. A diva that has been overlooked, underused, undervalued, and underappreciated for far too long. Now, heel turn and new gimmick notwithstanding, I think she was this close from capturing her first WWE Divas Championship. Now, with Paige out of the equation due to injury, AJ Lee retired, Natalya floating around in obscurity, just being the valet for Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, Cameron not being anywhere near ready for Divas Championship, although from what I hear, Eva Marie's looking very impressive in training sessions, if what is believed to go by with footage that has been leaked onto the internet. If she comes back in a match and she's uber impressive, I will eat humble pie and admit that Eva Marie's a good wrestler. I only ask one thing, please do not botch the Lou Thesz press again. No one needs to see that again. But back to this match. Again, Naomi was very unlucky, very unfortunate not to capture the belt. I'm liking the slight gimmick change where she's wearing lights changing, the changing lights on her boots. I like that. It kind of reminds me the sort of thing that Jamiroquai might do. And just going by that statement, I wouldn't be surprised if JK saw that and thought, I'll add that to my repertoire. You know, I've already got the funky hats and whatnot. Why not have the funky shoes? But yeah, really impressed with her performance, but not impressed that she wasn't given the belt on this occasion. Roman Reigns and Big Show. Ugh. You know, Jim Cornette has been saying to you people for years, you cannot use a gimmick or shtick again until it's been 7 years later. Now, there's a little explanation as to why I'm going there with this. In January of 2013, former WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio captured the World Heavyweight Championship for the first time in a last man standing match on SmackDown against the Big Show in a last man standing match, and he did this by putting the announce table on top of Big Show after he was out for the count. Roman Reigns does the same thing, and it's not even been 7 years. It's only been 2. It's almost bad as Ricardo Rodriguez duct taping Big Show's feet to the bottom rope when Cena had done this to Batista at Over the Limit 2010. Or was it Extreme Rules? I'm not 100% sure. But either way, Cena won that last man standing match via duct tape. And then it's repeated some 3 years later. And you see where I'm going with this. This match was not that great. Now, the WWE Undisputed Championship in a steel cage match. But Seth Rollins' stipulation is the RKO is banned. Okay. Whilst Randy Orton's major ace in the hole had been taken out from under him, that was fine, because Orton found other ways, including using Triple H's pedigree, and I will give the Viper credit where credit is due. He actually made something decent out of that, so nice going, Orton. And Seth Rollins wins the match via RKO and pinfall. And I thought the RKO was supposed to be banned. Aha! So how does this year's Extreme Rules fare up as a post-WrestleMania pay-per-view? In all honesty, it's averagely entertaining. And by that statement, it's very difficult these days when you have a monumental WrestleMania, which is the best, in my honest opinion, is the best WrestleMania since WrestleMania 18, which you can quote me on. It's very difficult to follow anything up with something as colossal as that. The only one of few exceptions that I can think of, not recent, but one of the few pay-per-views from the past that was able to either match or surpass WrestleMania in quality was Backlash 2000 after WrestleMania 16, because 16 was okay. Not great, not awful, it was just okay. And it's almost like in the sense of Extreme Rules is almost like the after party. You know, where do you go after that? You know, you've had the big party, and then you go to something slightly smaller scale. Again, still entertaining, but I think I'm going to have to give Extreme Rules a D. Like I say, not awful, but not great. And on to this week's SmackDown, the first SmackDown review for Season 3. And we kick off with Kane and Roman Reigns. These two squaring off is like equal forces trying to take each other down. There's not much give. Be that as it may, Roman Reigns wins via countout after Kane had walked out of the arena, also known as a cheap victory. Nice to see Damien Sandow back as himself. I kind of wondered how long it would be before he would actually turn face. And I find his charisma very, very entertaining since he split from The Miz. I did enjoy the mind games that Sandow played with Curtis Axel. Although, that's provided Axel had a mind to begin with. Yeah. Sandow wins via pin.
Ah, nuts! It's a Ryback match.
Seeing Ryback hold Harper in a vertical suplex in midair is shades from the past of the British Bulldog, and that competitor had amazing strength, who also needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Despite the positives of this match, this scenario is nothing new. Two big bulls with not much give? Give me something new. Ryback wins via shell shock. Afterwards, Bray Wyatt attacks Ryback and then plants Sister Abigail on him. 2 years on and that move is still creepy. I will never understand why WWE Creative have to take a decent push to someone as deserving as Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, probably one of the most undervalued and underused tag team wrestlers or WWE superstars in general, and then give said push to some as undeserving or as unpopular as The New Day, which to me is 2015 code for stupid and asinine. I won't deny that The New Day is made up of some very talented and athletic WWE superstars. No denial. Kofi Kingston, one of the most athletic superstars that the company has ever seen. Big E, one of the biggest powerhouses ever, and also one of the better Intercontinental Champions in a long while. And Xavier Woods, very athletic and very charismatic, would make a great face champion. But the gimmick that these guys have it's not new nor creative, and I'm going to repeat what I've said earlier. Giving them the push, it's asinine. There's no need for it.
Bring out the Divas!
And Nikki wins via pinfall. Does anyone care? Well, maybe Nikki. A dude with a target on his back versus a guy who's a little too eccentric for his own good. To quote JBL, this is gonna be good. A decent main event, giving Ambrose some much-needed airtime in the main event, with Kane coming down with an axe to grind with Seth Rollins. I have to sympathise with the official when Kane threatened to chokeslam him. I knew what he was thinking. Do not what? Seth Rollins wins via pin. SmackDown ends with Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose taking in turns to take Kane out after the corporate lackey decided to attack Dean Ambrose. So, this is how Season 3 is going to be. If that's the way it's going to be, I could get very accustomed to the flow of this season. SmackDown gets a B. Good night.